For a first-hand look at what's going on in Ukraine now, we want to bring in Julia Kochetova. She's a photographer and a documentary filmmaker who's been covering the impacts of the war on people in Ukraine. Thank you so much for joining us again. So listen, before we get to some of the images that you have been capturing, I just want to find out what life is like in Kyiv right now. We were told that the Russians were going to be scaling back. We've been told that that is actually not happening. So what are conditions like where you are?
Hi again. I'm happy to see on air, to say on air each time we met that I'm staying in Kyiv. Actually, I live nearby the air defense system, and it's pretty loud here. So yesterday, 5, 6 alarms, but now it's calm. The ongoing shelling and artillery drills happening in the northern part of Kyiv. It's well-known small towns in Kyiv suburbs, Irpin, Makariv, Bucha, Gostomel, Shitki village. Like the situation now is that Ukrainian troops liberating small villages and heading to the north, actually. But there are still fights which are happening right now. So the other direction is Chernihiv one, is 2 hours right from Kyiv, which now, if the city is in total humanitarian crisis, it's already so-called second Mariupol, and that the direction which is now like more dangerous. That's what's happening right now.
Julia, Memory mentioned this, but let's talk about some of the images that you've been able to capture with your camera. One of the most heartbreaking was your story about a family escaping the violence in Irpin. What did you talk with them about?
You know, as a journalist, as a photographer, I do really believe that you can't tell the story of a person if you not experience the pain or the sorrow, or when you don't have any clue what's going on or what is being when you evacuated from your town. And I'm happy to contribute to Vice News right now. And we did a story about Voznesensky family, whom we met right under their Irpin bridge. It's the last stop next to Kyiv, which was destroyed just to stop Russian troops somehow. And this family, they spent 12 days under ongoing shelling, 5 days in a shelter with 2 small kids, with total destruction around and total violence around them in halfly occupied Irpin city. And when we met on the bridge, we just took their contacts and then had the chance to come back inside the city and come back to their house, actually, and made the same route, which for sure can't be the same which they experienced, but get this feeling how is to get escaped from inside the city. They're just a regular family of graphic designers who used to have nice jobs, amazing plans for the future, nice house, and now they were faced with the ongoing fear, actually, because we met them in the apartment of their eldest son in Kyiv here, and they said that like the main fear is same gonna happen in Kyiv. So now the half of their family had fled to Poland, and the other part are staying here. Like Dima, the father, and the eldest son, they're staying in Kyiv.
You know, Julia, with her pictures comes these great write-ups. And, you know, I was struck by the fact that you meet them under a bridge and you compare the river that they're next to the river Styx, right? The mythical, Greek mythical river, one of the rivers of the underworld, which, you know, is a dangerous place, but also, you know, the waters are also nourishing for some. I thought it was such a good comparison. And then this other picture, you photograph an EMT. She's a woman. And so I have sort of 2 questions to ask you. One observation and one question. You talk about how there's shelling and she doesn't even blink. And I thought to myself, you know, that's a reflection of her strength, but also trauma. It's natural to blink when the bombs are dropping. But I also, could you explain something? You were saying that in your write-up that these women were not listed before. They were bakers, or they had other titles. Can you explain what that was about and what it was like meeting her?
Yeah, sure. Kira, she's a combat medic working in Hospitaliers Battalion. They're incredible, brave, and working from 2014. So, like, they're pretty experienced one, but she's a newbie in the battalion. And when we met on the evacuation route to push Vladimir and back to Kyiv, I was same excited and frightened with the fact that she was that much calm and that much ready for any kind of violence which could happen to her, any kind of attack which could happen. So she even didn't blink at all when it was like pretty loud around on the way when we reached the place, on the way back. But I'm pretty sure that what we're gonna have next takes decades of years, when this new normal, which now we are experiencing, new normal, which helps Ukrainian now to survive, actually, because if you got nervous in that kind of circumstances, you probably would not get alive and gonna be killed if you would not get overcome and cope with that level of stress. But how we should manage with this new normal in recent years, how it's gonna affect next generations, the generations of kids who were evacuating from Irpin, or kids who are now like still blocked in Mariupol. What we're gonna do is like all females who were raped by Russian soldiers, and that's these stories which I still have no power inside to read about that. If we're talking about female in Ukrainian army, till 2015, even 2016, they were like officially not embedded as their real soldiers in Ukrainian state armed forces, because according to documents, they were listed as cooks. But even if they were snipers or someone else, they've never been listed like that. And we had the incredible but non-government initiative titled Invisible Battalion. And they were pushing through different advocacy campaigns, including documentary films, including social media campaigns as well. And they really did a great job since 2015. The female soldiers now officially documented in the state armed forces. And that's the huge push which was done from the non-governmental initiative.
That is fascinating. But you're so right that, you know, this could be months of an attack, but it will be years, perhaps decades of trauma to try and work out. Julia, thank you so much. Appreciate it. Stay safe.
You too. You too. Thanks. Greets from Kyiv.